Hey, what's going on, guys? Princeton Clark here with the Evolve Mastery Podcast. And today on this episode of Mastery 360, I'm sitting down with my guy, Mr. Blake Hahn. This guy's been in the space of entrepreneurship for over 10 years, and he's been able to impact organizations, make so much money, but more than that, make so much impact, and I'm excited to have this conversation today because we're going to dive into his journey, the wisdom he's gained, the next level of his impact, the businesses that he's built, the businesses that he's failed or lost, the wisdom gained from that process, but also what it took for him to get to this point in his life where he's now a father, a husband, and he's taken all the skills that he's used over the past 10 years and over his life, from family to friends to new friends and expansion in his life, to now bring this to a new stage, and this is where I get excited because, I've been able to watch so many people who say they want to have impact. And then I get to watch people like Blake who actually is impact. And that's the difference. And so we're going to dive into it. And I could go on and on with the accolades, built an organization, built a company that's made over $50 million, but he didn't do it simply because he was focused on money. He did it because he was focused on self-mastery. So you guys are going to you're in for a treat today. So let's go ahead and get into it. Blake, what's going on, my brother? Great to have you here today, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the intro.
Yes, sir. Got to give you love, man.
Yes, sir. I'm excited, man. Obviously, long time coming. Me and you, I'd say probably friendship and in business 8 years now. Is that about 7, 8 years for us, right? Yeah, man. So obviously watching each other, coming a long way. And I think that's what's even makes the journey even more better is when you keep these relationships and you're 8, 10, 15 years down the road and you're still in a relationship with or a friendship with someone that you could look back and be like, man, like I watched you or I seen you, and we not only did it together, not physically and building the same brands or same companies together, but we're on the same mission and same plan in the entrepreneur space, running it together and being able to feed off each other. Not only that, but watch each other after the last 7, 8 years. And it's cool to see how far you've came and to obviously you watch to see where I've came and everything. Because my favorite saying is time will either promote you or expose you, man. And
100.
And in today's world, it's so oversaturated with social media and everything. So it's kind of really hard for people to understand who's real and who's not. And especially when you have new people coming up in this entrepreneur space, just wanting to be the best versions of themselves, wanting to learn this space and get into it. They don't know who to follow and everything. And because there's so much fakeness on social media, that's where a lot of people are they're trying to look for something, but you got so much of it out there that they're following the wrong people that's guiding them in the wrong direction and everything. And we need to be able to hone that in some more and everything and make sure that we're leading these people in the right direction with the right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right, facts of what it looks like to get into this entrepreneur space, because everyone thinks it's easy, but it's not, man. And there's a lot you got to go through, the ups and downs, losing everything. If you're in a relationship, the family stuff, there's just so much to it, man. And it takes a lot of time, and a lot of people don't really understand that. And I want people to understand, man, it's not going to be all easy. It's not going to be gravy. It's not going to be flowers. And you're going to go through a lot of shit, man, especially when you have a bigger picture and a bigger impact of what you want to do in this world.
Right. Man, we haven't even gotten into it yet, guys. You guys are going to see something special in this podcast because, as Blake said, we've watched each other for years and we've gotten to see the evolution, the growth, the passion, even through the challenges, even through people saying they were there for us and walking away, and still we stayed. We continually move forward. We move the needle. And we evolved, and that's another thing about the process is you're going to outgrow people. You're going to outgrow situations. You're going to outgrow the circles that you were once a part of, who you thought you wanted to be in. And this is the thing about self-mastery is you're always the root to the tree of your life. And you have a relationship to every branch in that tree, professionally, personally, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And a lot of the times we focus so much on the branches that we forget that ultimately it's not so much about what's happening in the branches, it's about what's happening at the root. And so, as I always say, we can talk about self-mastery, we can talk about success, but people see where you are now, but they don't know where you came from.
Right.
They don't know what you've had to face. So, where did the journey, we know the journey of your life began when you were born, but where did this journey of entrepreneurship and this passion, where was that birthed for you?
I would say, it was kind of like the first out, I didn't really, where I'm at right now today, I didn't foresee any of this. I didn't know this is where I was going to be. I didn't know some of the things that I'm doing right now in business I'm going to be doing, and didn't even know that some of the people I'm doing business with, I'd be doing business with. But after high school, I started my first job at Budweiser, had a job lined up, and I started working at Budweiser. But long story short, obviously my dad always told me, go to school, get good grades, and get a good education so that you could go get a good job, work yourself up the ranks. And then he also said, hey man, and don't just like have family and kids right away, like enjoy life, go travel the world, buy all the toys, have all the things, and then start your family. So that was instilled in me from when I was literally a young kid, and my dad always told me that. So obviously coming out of high school, my first thing is I wanted to get a good job where I know I could work myself up, and speed it up. 2.5 years into working at Hensley Budweiser, I make it all the way up to basically, I mean, you call it $25 an hour. Just to only come to find out that $25 an hour every week after all your deductions and everything came out, taxes, dental, benefits, all that, it was anywhere from $650 to $700. And I'm like, man, I made it. I think I was 20 years at the age, maybe 21. I think I was right around there. Yeah, 21. I made it to $25 an hour. I did what my dad told me to do. I got good grades. I graduated high school, and then I went and got a job right away. And then I worked myself with ranks, and I did it fast. I mean, I started at $18 and then got promoted up to 2 positions. It got me to 25. But once that hit me, and that's where I was at, I was like, man, like, so this is what it's like. You know what I'm saying? I got myself to here, and then I'm like, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, if we call it $700, let's round it up and let's go the high end, but $700 a week, that's $2,800 a month. And I mean, after you do rent, you do your car payment, your insurance, your gas, your bills, and all that stuff. I mean, I'm broke. I'm negative. I can't even take my lady out. I can't go have fun. I can't go on vacation. I can't put money aside. I can't invest it. I can't do a lot of things. And that's really where it hit for me. And not only that, when you're watching, you got families and friends that are out there doing these things. And there's a lot of stuff out there that I wanted. And I was like, man, I want to live like this, or I want those things. I just couldn't have it. And I thought getting this job and doing that, like my dad said, would get me it. So I remember just going to my boss, and I was like, hey man, like, what do I got to do to get another raise? Like, I want to move quick. I want to make more money. And he's just like, man, like, it doesn't work like that here. It takes like every 2 to 5 years, we look at giving raises, and depending on when something comes available. So it could even be longer. And I'm like, well, what do those raises look like? He's like, the next one could be like $1.50, $2, $3. So that's when it really clicked for me. And I think that's when it hit. Cause I remember walking out of that office, and in my head, I'm like, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm not going to be here. Like, why would I stay here for 5 more years to get a $1.50 raise or a $2.50 raise? I'm like, that's maybe an extra $50 on my paycheck every week. Right. So that's when I went home, and then that's when it clicked. And I'm like, I gotta be a business owner. I gotta be like a CEO. And one, not only that, but one, I could work my own schedule, run my life. But 2, I wanted to be financially in a different position than I was before, being able to do those things. Wanted to have my own house. I wanted to have my own boat, my own cars, travel the world, take my lady out, do the things that I wanted to do without having to worry about robbing Peter to pay Paul, or living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to do the things you want, man. And it just sucks because there's all these things out here in the world for us to have. And sometimes you think to yourself and you ask, like, why don't I have that, or why can't I? And I think that's a big problem with a lot of people, though, is everyone says, like, why can't I have it? Well, the thing is you need to stop with just thinking why you can't. Everyone can have whatever is here on earth. It's all meant for us. It's just, what are you going to do to have those things, and what are you going to put out there? So that was like the first click for me and everything. And that's when I went home, and I remember going into my room, and I locked it. And it's funny because this is when I first I was in the beginning stage of my relationship with my fiance. And basically I remember she was there too, and I sat there and I closed the door, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not leaving this room until I come up with a business name and a business idea. And I literally just sat there for 3 hours, and that's when I came up with my first business name, my first business idea. It was called Treat Skateboard Wax. Basically what it is like, the wax that goes on the curb so that you could grind. So in the industry, if you looked at it and everything, what I wanted to look at was how can I get in, and how can I be different? Well, in the skateboard industry, apparel was very huge, streetwear, all that stuff, and everything was huge. But when I looked deeper into it, the wax wasn't. So there was only like 2 or 3 companies that put out wax and everything. But long story short, my idea was, well, if it's called Treat Skateboard Wax, and I liked apparel and always liked the fashion, so I wanted to do that no matter what. It's just hard to get into the industry with that because everybody's doing it. And then that's when I was like, the skateboard wax, I was like, well, Treat Skateboard Wax, we could make the wax. What if we made them and it looked like treats? Pretzels, strawberries, donuts, cookies, pineapples, gummy bears, whatever you want to name it, whatever treat you can, let's make those as wax. So basically, we created a company that was called Treat Skateboard Wax. We made all these molds of waxes and everything that looked like the real foods. The color was the same, and it smelled like a real food. If you had a cookie, it smelled like a chocolate chip cookie. If you had a glazed donut, it smelled like a glazed donut. If you had a Rice Krispie treat, it smelled like a Rice Krispie treat, but it was wax. So we did that, and then we also did the apparel, and that's how we got in, and we really hit the industry, and then boom, started to go from there and everything, getting into all the stores across the countries, blah, blah, and all that stuff. But that was my real first pivot and everything that really made me kind of shift my mindset to want to go into entrepreneurship / being a business owner or CEO, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so much right there. There's so much that I want to hit, but one of the main things that I want to hit is, number one, a lot of people, they come out of school, they want to get the good job, but a job will only keep you, as the saying goes, just over broke.
Yep.
Or beneath it in today's economy. It's like you're not going to truly be successful working another man's vision, unless you're working at a very high level, but if you're starting off at the bottom, I always tell people, if you're going to start at the bottom of something, start at the bottom of building something for yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's not only going to build you as a person, you're going to develop skills, you're going to develop expertise, you're going to develop something of value that the world can't take from you. You work for somebody else, they can take that from you, or you're sitting around waiting for somebody to give you a raise, but it's that pivot point when you realize, wait a minute, I'm worth more than this. My life is worth more than this. This is not for me. And I know a lot of you out there in podcast land, or watching this video right now, you might be in a situation like that, where you're in a situation that is not for you. You have to be willing to love yourself enough. And you guys have heard me say this plenty of times on the podcast. You have to love yourself enough to take the chance on you. Take the risk on you. If you have a vision for something, even if it's not 100% clear, if you can see that first step, take the first step. Because once you take that first step, the second step is going to form. A lot of times we look at the big vision for what we want. We look at the big vision for our lives, or what we can see from where we are, and we allow fear to stop us because the vision looks too big. But all you did was really evaluate where you were. You evaluated, okay, is this in alignment for me? Is this in alignment with what I want for my life? Okay, no, it's not. Okay, well, let me go home. I'm gonna lock myself in my room. I'm gonna create some separation between me and the world for a minute. And I'm really gonna look at what my first step would be to start my own business.
Right.
And you've always been a student to life. In the same way that you've always been you were a great employee, all you did was take that ability to be a boss, and you took the wisdom from learning, from education, from being the best at whatever it is that you do, and you started applying it to yourself and what you wanted. And that's why your shift was so powerful. But you said something else too that was amazing, and it's very important for all the entrepreneurs out there to understand. When you are trying to build a business in an industry, a lot of the times everybody wants to look at the thing that's saturated, all the things that everybody else is doing. But what you did was the exact opposite. You said, okay, in this industry, if I want to be successful people solve problems. Successful people do something that everybody else is not doing. Correct. That's what sets them apart. And you found that thing with the skateboard wax, and you found a unique way to present it. And you found something that was in alignment with you. You loved branding. You loved merchandising. You said, okay, well, if I do this, then it'll also give me the ability to create this. Now I'm building an entire brand, not just a product. And so you came out of the gate on a higher level of understanding business because you did your homework. A lot of entrepreneurs out there, they say, I want to make $1 million, but they don't do their homework.
Right.
They go and listen to people in a saturated industry. No, go listen to people who aren't in the saturated industry. Look for the billionaires and the millionaires that you don't see all over social media. Look for the people that are in a space like you who say, you know what? I'm going to create great wealth, but I don't need to make a bunch of noise doing it. I just need to get quiet. And that's the next part of it that I want to talk to you about is, in the beginning, of course, we focus on the stuff, right? Once the money starts coming in, I know in a couple of your situations, probably in this one as well, there's partnerships. You try to build partnerships. There's so many lessons you have to learn with that, So as you begin to build the company, You had to expand a team, right? You had to do all these things.
Yes.
What were some of the things that you faced in that situation?
Well, that first company, if I could touch on it, my first lesson I learned in business and being in a partnership is it was one of my best friends that we grew up since we were 6, 7 years old. We skateboarded, rode bikes, we did everything together. So he was heavy in the skateboarding industry, so it just made sense and everything. We both did it and everything. So we kind of partnered together on that. And long story short, he basically, once it started to take off, we were getting it in. We started going to all these stores. We're getting ready for a show called Agenda. Agenda is a big trade show where from all around the world, all these like stores, big people looking for the next big brands or anything like that, and they're looking to get it in, they go to this show. So you got to imagine you got all around the world people that own shops, stores, and malls anywhere around the world, and then also big online stores. They're coming to this to look for the next big brand or the next thing, and they're putting their orders there. So as we're getting in around the country, we're opening up all these accounts and everything, and it's starting to go. Well, we set up our show. We're getting ready to go. I get a call the next morning from one morning from his dad. He says, "Hey, man, like, aren't you on your way to Vegas? I didn't see you." And I was very tight, like with his mom, his dad, like all of us, like we're all kids. Like we're literally right around the corner from each other. So basically I knew it. And then I go, "Wait, what do you mean?" He's all like, they just left, him and his girl, they're on their way to Vegas right now for the trade show, and I just didn't see you, so I thought I call you. And then I go, "Are you fucking playing with me?" And he goes, "No, bro." He's all, "Is there something I don't know?" I said, "Well, I'm not there. That's what I fucking know." Hung up with him, and then that's when I tried hitting him, and he was ignoring my calls. I go deep into it, but basically I get a text, man, that just basically says I'm oil to the water of the company, my tattoos, all this. I can't be the face. I don't know what I'm doing, all this shit, man. And I'm just like, what the heck? So I watched the company and the idea that I came up with and that I partnered with my partner on really get swept from under me. And once I go to look at the, like, you know what I'm saying, now I go to start checking. Well, the social media, like they changed the password, the bank account changed the password, everything. Like I was like, holy shit. So they did it all and swept everything from under me right then and there. And that was like my first real lesson. But what I learned is that I didn't have anything on paper. I didn't have contracts in play. I didn't have anything that says who was who in the company. What were your daily operations and who was running what? You know what I'm saying? So that's where it really got me, because when I got an attorney to fight it to get my company back, I couldn't, because I didn't have anything. All I had was an LLC with my name and his name on it. That's 50-50, and that's it. So that was my first lesson, is in business moving forward, I need to put everything on paper. I need to put who owns what, like the majority, do I own 60%, you're 40%, the CEO, the COO, the CFO, what are your daily operations? What is it that you do? So whenever something like that comes up, I actually have some pull and some weight and everything to go actually fight for it to get back what I started. And ever since then, I've literally always put everything on paper, contracts, LLCs, everything. And I make sure, because, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as I do that, I should never run into that problem again. But two, what I've also found out is in the last 10 years is, it's funny, but when people don't want to put something on paper, that's how you know you're dealing with someone that just wants to take from you, or they're about to do bad business. If someone's going to put something on paper and they'll sign that contract and do that, that's someone real that you know. And that's someone real that'll go into business, and they're not here to just take from you. And even if they are, let's say they still can't do it if you did the paperwork the right way. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of my biggest lessons I've learned and everything, and going into it as a partnership. And to be honest with you, from that point forward, everything, all the business I went through and everything, my name was 100% on them, even if it was kind of somewhat like not a full partner, but doing it with someone. Like, and the reason why too is I put up all the money mainly. So when I'm putting up the money, my name's 100% on everything and all that stuff, just in case, because if anything happens, I'm not going to watch you sweep everything from under me and everything and lose everything because of whatever it is that you're doing it. And for me to lose my dreams and my passion and all the hard work that I'm putting in.
Right. That's a blow right there. And I know a lot of people out there in the entrepreneurial world, you go into things, oh, this is my friend, everything's cool. Everybody wants to join you. Everybody wants to quote unquote partner with you. But at the end of the day, business is business.
It's all business, man.
You can have the relationships, but at the end of the day, when it comes to money, there's so many different levels. When we're talking bank accounts, when we're talking the potential for future expansion or the evolution of a company, all of these things that he's talking about and really going into are important. And these are the principles of business. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs don't learn, because they come into the entrepreneurial realm still thinking like employees, not thinking like bosses.
Well, yeah. and they also don't know what they don't know, so they're just running into it too, just like I did. But I mean, that's the way some of us have to learn, is going through it, not knowing what we don't know. So I don't blame some people,
Right.
just like I didn't know. But I mean, after I learned that lesson, I lost everything, and I didn't get none back, and I had no leg to fight on. Best believe I wasn't going to make that same mistake again. I mean, people don't even think, just like with family, like I don't even care if it's your brother, your sister, your dad, your mom, you need to have a fucking contract on play. You need to have something. Like right now my dad, I'm helping him start his business up, and it's a salsa business. So he's been doing salsa forever, and he's always wanted to get that going off the floor, and we're finally getting it started. But like with my dad and everything, I told him, like, dude, we're putting a contract in play, like everything, like their LLC. Yeah, we're doing it the right way. If I'm going to go into business with you, Dad, and I'm going to put some money up, we're going to do it the right way. And if you don't want to, then I can't go into business with you.
Right.
And it's my dad, so I don't want to hurt that relationship. But two, again, man, that doesn't matter. Family's family, but you do it the right way. I mean, everybody feels good. And then when you know that, then it just even feels better when you know everything's done the right way. You know what I'm saying? And stuff's on paper, you know what's what and everything. And again, like I said, if everybody's willing to do that, then that's how you know no one's there to kind of fuck each other over or do anybody wrong, if that kind of makes sense.
No, makes total sense. So good, so good. And this is why I'm excited about our conversation today, because a lot of the times we don't dive into the steps. We don't dive in. We talk about the journey and, all the possibilities and, through self-mastery, but there's principles to this stuff, and, when we dive into the level of awareness that it takes to really utilize the principles, to apply them, because you could have been like a lot of people who get screwed over, don't learn the lesson, get screwed over again, don't learn the lesson, but wisdom says, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Exactly.
And so we have to gain wisdom, because we don't want to be the fool. We want to be the most efficient, the wisest, and the most evolved version of ourselves every single day in our business, in our lifestyle. And that's what I've watched you do for 10 years. So talk to me a little bit about, once you built that company, it was swept from under you, you moved into other spaces. I know you were in the multi-level marketing business, doing MLMs for a while. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right after that, if I could just continue the story for you, basically that happened, lost everything. I went into a deep depression and all that stuff, to be honest with you, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't want to get a job, nothing. I was embarrassed. Obviously, I quit my Budweiser jobs and to go full-time with it. So that's what I didn't kind of put in there. But you got to think, when I did that, all my family and friends, mainly family, and everybody was like, you're a fucking idiot, you're dumb. Like, you just left a full-time job, benefits, a great company, and all this stuff to go do that for yourself. And so you know how that feels like, well, I'm gonna go do it. And I was like that. And then everything gets swept from under me. So it's like, man, like I didn't want no one to know. And I'm like, damn, and see everybody be like, I told you. And it's like all these thoughts are going through my head. So I didn't want to do any of that. But basically it walked me into basically door-to-door sales. Went to go do that and started doing door-to-door sales, which really taught me a lot. And then that led into network marketing and got in the space of network marketing. I could tell you that's really where it really opened up my mind. And not only that, as an entrepreneur, that's, I feel like, where I started my real entrepreneur journey, because when you jump into the network marketing space, it's not a job. So you don't have a boss, you don't have no one telling you what to do, you don't have a time to show up to work, you don't have anything to do. So you have to figure it out on your own. So as an entrepreneur, I think anybody getting into that network marketing space is going to teach you that, and it's going to teach you how to run and operate your own business, because you now work for yourself inside of a company. You're like your own little entity CEO, if that's how I kind of call it. So I guess your question going into it is just like what got me into it, or
yeah, and you're on track right there with that, because you hit something important right there. The level of wisdom, when that journey began, that's when you started really learning, again, by yourself, building organization, which I know has helped you tremendously where you are now, and so that's what I wanted to get into, was after that transition, after the pain, the heartache, the frustration, the anger, the feelings of, I screwed up, the self-judgment, you picked yourself back up, and you started moving the needle forward, and then you made your way back into the journey again. And, what do you believe during that phase of your life, after you transitioned out of that, you went into network marketing? What do you think were some of the biggest lessons you learned in network marketing that have attributed to your success today?
One biggest lesson is just learning how to communicate with people and manage people, and especially on a high level. Two, is basically managing and running your own schedule. You know what I'm saying? Is like, that's a big lesson, like learning how to do that without having someone tell you what to do, when to show up, when to go home, when you could have your own time and all that stuff. So biggest lessons was leading and managing people, and especially a large organization, managing your time and understanding what that looks like. And then also just being smart with your money and having cash flow.
Right.
Because I know one of the biggest things are in network marketing. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, unless you build a business and long enough where you have residual income, it's different. But in the beginning, when you start network marketing, the only way you make money is when you go to work. So if you ain't selling anything, or you're not selling their product or service, whatever it is, you're not making money until you build a large enough organization to where you earn overrides or things like that, to where you earn enough money that comes in whether you work or not. So biggest thing is just learning how to be smart with your money and everything. And I wasn't too smart in the beginning and everything. And I kind of started out making a lot of money. So I was spending a lot of my money too, wanting to look the part, be the part, play the part, and look like that on social media, instead of putting that money in a more smarter spot or position that would yield me more money or an investment or things like that. And that's where I guess we could pivot to is one of the biggest lessons getting into network marketing and then becoming successful in it is knowing what you're doing with it and why you're doing it. So again, for me, I was wanting to look the part, be the part. I got the penthouse, I had the nice car, the whatever you want to call it, and all that wasn't getting me anywhere, and it wasn't real and authentic. And I think a lot of people saw that, and I just didn't know it. But after a couple years of doing it, and you start to find out, and you think to yourself, man, like, just me getting this penthouse isn't making me more money. It's not getting me more deals. Me living like this and showing it all over isn't getting me more money, more relationships, more deals. And that's when I really had to start to truly find out. I'm like, man, like, that's not what this is all about. And I thought it was just because of social media. I was a young entrepreneur. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm listening to all these people telling me to do this, to live like this, to do this, put your money here. And then I'm seeing social media and everything, and all I see is like people living and doing this. I'm like, man, well, if I live and I post like this, then maybe I'll become that. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know what I just didn't know at that time, and that's how I was going in it. But those are my biggest lessons, really learning that and everything in the beginning stages. And my main one that I didn't do was I was grinding so hard in the business and working on the business and making money instead of working on myself and developing myself. And I was reading and doing a little bit of things, but it wasn't a main focus for me. It wasn't important to me, that if that makes sense.
Totally.
So I was doing some things and all that stuff that kept me on track and kept me going and everything, but I wasn't so focused on building this inner peace. I was focused on building the business and the company to make the money.
Right. Let's go into that, because again, this is Evolve Mastery, and we are talking about self-mastery. And this is the part of your journey that I love the most, because this is the real switch. Because we can gain all the business principles, the life principles, but until we understand the principles of self, like I said, you're the root to the tree of your life. Something in the branches is always going to be off if the self is off. And so you began taking this journey of self-mastery. It redirected you inward. You realized that I had the stuff, I had the lifestyle, but I didn't have peace. Like something was always off. I found myself basically, constantly reaching for things externally because it was never enough. And I found myself always trying to fit in. And we've talked about this a few times, but share what the beginning of that journey was like. And then what was some of the wisdom you gained as you started working on self and making that a priority?
So I could tell you, and what it's crazy because God does everything for a certain reason. He takes you through things and how your life is, like the journey. And that's why you got to love the journey. But I had to lose everything and humble myself. And I know he did that because I needed to step back and look at everything, and I needed to be checked. Like that this wasn't really what it's about. You're doing it. You're running in the wrong direction. You're doing it for the wrong reasons, Blake. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And to be honest with you, in the beginning, I was always thinking I was getting mad when things would happen to me that would hurt my business or do something to me that would feel like I was learning. I guess where I was going with it is like, feel like it was hurting me. But at the end of the day, I just switched my perspective on like, this is teaching me something. This is a lesson I'm learning. I need to go through this. And when I really switched my perspective, I think that's what it was when I lost everything. I know what it's like to get my truck repoed. I know what it's like to be evicted. I know what it's like to not have a cell phone. I know what it's like to not even have any lights on in the place. And I also know what it's like to live on $5, $15 a day at $5 a meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, eating fast food. You know what I'm saying?
You and me too, bro.
So I think going through all that and then having to move all the way back from living in a penthouse like kind of living this luxury life and all that stuff, and the attention on me, to losing everything and moving all the way back to the West Valley and having to literally call my aunt and say, hey, can I come stay with you until I get my shit together and figure it out and go from there. And I had to really move back there, and now I'm put in one little room, you know what I'm saying? And now I got everything. My office is my room. I feel like my room was my storage room. My room was my office, and my room was even my kitchen and my got kind of everything, you know what I'm saying? My room was my whole apartment now, going from that to that. So really I had to humble myself and look at everything, and like that's when I just really started to like just ask myself, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why am I going through this, and what was I doing wrong? And when I started to get on that, and I think what it was is I was trying to please everybody, and I was doing it for everybody and not for me. And I think that's where I went wrong, is because I was literally just trying to be this person, and I was trying to be perfect for everybody else. And when what I know that switched in my thinking is I was like, I need to take care of myself and my family, which at the time Victoria was with me, my fiance. So she still stayed with me even though I lost everything. And this is now twice. So in 2013, I lost everything. And then the one I'm talking about right now, when I lost everything, was in 2018. So basically that's what it was. And I'm like, man, like all this outside stuff doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, I mean, when you don't got nothing, you lost everything. I mean, what is there really to do? I mean, it really takes you back to like what really matters the most. And that's when I was like, man, I need to build myself. I need to work on myself, and I'm going to make sure that I'm happy and she's happy. And that's when I really dove into it and everything, and started to really just focus on me and making sure that I'm happy, and involving myself into making sure she's happy. And that's when a lot of things started to change, and it went on to a whole journey of like 3.5 years of that. And obviously grinding it out, and it's crazy, from going door to door to going to network marketing, and then being successful in that, living this luxury life, and then having it all taken from me, and then going back to door, the only thing that I knew. With door to door, and the reason why I went back to door sales is because I know it's the only thing that I know I'm very good at. I could get paid immediately, and whatever I sell this week will be on my check next week. And when I lost everything, I was over $500,000 in debt. My gym was going under. My suit, I had to shut down my suit business. I had to shut down my supplement company, and I had to shut down my apparel company. Literally everything I had to shut down. So lost everything. The only thing I still had some attachment to that I couldn't shut down was my gym, because that had a 4-year lease on it of $6,700 a month for my lease on it. And then obviously all the bills, the overhead, investors on that, the employees I had, and everything. So moving all the way back to Buckeye, that gym's in Gilbert. So just think about how much humbling that is when I'm so broke. I don't have no money, but I still have the gym, but that's the only thing I'm attached to, and I have to save it. And I couldn't just let it go, because I still had 3 years on my lease. So I didn't want it to go to collections. I didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? I just don't want that to go on my credit. But just think about that now, like really going through that and living in Buckeye. Now I got to drive to Gilbert every single day to go out there, and I had to open my gym up, make sure it was good. And then I had to find someone to then run the gym, because there's a whole nother story on that. I had a business partner that was my operations team, and one of the big things that tanked me in 2018 was my business partner was double tapping all of our customers on the back end. So basically he was compromising all my customers, and this was a business partner that was running my all the back end of everything, the operations. And that's kind of what really led me into it, and that kind of tanked and everything. So a lot of things tanked all at that same time. The network marketing tanked, you know what I'm saying? And then from the gym, that tanked as well, and everything going under. So I had to find someone to then run that. And my dad was the one that stepped up and helped me, because I needed someone that I could trust. And you got to think about it, my business is in Gilbert, and I'm living in Buckeye. And it's like, I need someone to trust. But not only that, I couldn't just work that, because now after those compromise, I started losing members. My revenue started going down. Well, I wasn't making profits or enough money. So to save the business, I had to go out there and work.
Right. And for those of you out there in podcast land or watching this video right now, the distance between the two is a little over an hour. So think about that, 2 hours out of your day at a time where you're struggling more than you've ever had to struggle in your life. You got a lot of time to think going out there. You got a lot of time to think while you're there. You got a lot of time to think when you're coming back, and the whole time you're watching this thing just kind of fall from up under you. And it's like, what do I do? Like, how do I navigate this? And I imagine that played a huge role in you really just looking at yourself.
It was, man. I mean, that was like, it was like, I just remember like, it's like, what are you going to do about it kind of type thing. And I don't know, I have this burning desire in me. Like, I like to win. And not only that, I even think it's just something deeper. Like, I'm called to do something like on this planet Earth, like that's impactful. I didn't know what it was at that time. I now know what it is now, but there's something that was just in me that I couldn't stop and I wouldn't give up. And I just had to keep going and I had to figure it out. But look at myself in the mirror. I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to figure this shit out. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to make it happen. And I have that mentality of like, it's kind of the same thing when I see someone do something. I'm like, man, I can do that shit better than you can. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me though.
Right.
Whenever I played sports, it was the same thing. When we do the drills, I'm like, all right, I saw someone do it and I was like, I'll do that shit better. And anything, but that's my mentality and I like to win. So I didn't like losing and I didn't like people to know that I was losing and I wanted to win. And there's also a bigger thing is, I mean, where I came from and all that stuff. I mean, there's no one in my family that is an entrepreneur. There's no one in my family that's building businesses. There's no one in my family that's financially free. There's no one in my family that's living the life that they want to live. And growing up and everything, I saw how we lived and went through it. I'm not saying we lived a really shitty life, but it wasn't the best life.
Right.
My dad was always working 2 to 3 jobs, literally trying to keep a roof over our head and food in our mouths. And as a single parent, doing that too as well. And I was the oldest of 3, taking care of my brothers. So we just didn't come from a lot. So I also saw my dad struggle in the life he went through, and he always loved about family, wanted to be there, but he couldn't be there as much because of that. So I just knew like I wanted something different, and I wanted to be the first one in my generation to make that impact and set free of the legacy for my family and the Hahn name. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, and I just wasn't ever going to give up on it. So that's what kept me going and kept me driven, and I just wasn't going to give up. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, a lot of time to think. It's just crazy, man. I mean, it goes back to how bad do you really want it? Right. I mean, listen how many times, and I haven't even really gone in depth on a lot, but from that first business, losing that, then hopping into door-to-door sales, going through a lawsuit, and then losing that, and then jumping in network marketing, building that network marketing business, and the money I take from that business, I invested into a couple more companies, gym, supplement, suit line, start doing all those things, and then all of a sudden my network marketing business starts to tank. That goes under, which is my main stream of income. So because that goes under, then my business partner compromises me on the back end for the gym. So now that big main stream of income goes under. I have to shut down 2 businesses, take all the money I have from there to save the main one that I'm attached to. And I have nothing else and moving back here and now having to do that. And it's like,
life hit you with some Mike Tyson blows.
Yeah, like, you ain't lying, bro. And it's like, I just kept getting up and kept going and kept going and everything. And that's where I started to look at it. And now I'm like looking at it, because before I get so mad, I'm like, bro, like, why the fuck is this happening to me, man? Like, and I was like looking at it the wrong way. And that's when I changed my perspective around. And what's crazy is I went back to my goals, and I started writing goals 10 years ago. But I went back to my goals and I looked at them and I read them again. And then something clicked and I was like, no fucking shit. Like, now I know why I'm going through all of this. I mean, dude, I like some of the goals I write down. I mean, I'm a billionaire and I own 50 companies. I make $1 million a month in reoccurring revenue. Like, and I could go on a list of all my goals. I don't want to, but I could go down the whole list. But if you saw my goals, then something clicked and it's like, this is why you're going through what you're going through, because the goals and the things that you want and the impact that you're going to do and where you want to be, you have to learn all this and go through all this. And until you go through all this, I mean, it's not going to be there. And that's when once that clicked and that felt, that's when like a whole different perspective shift. I mean, now I wanted to run faster and I wanted to fail faster. I wanted to lose more and I wanted to go through more. Not literally, but I knew it, because I knew, I'm like, man, I'm going to, but I accepted that I was going to, not wanting to.
Right.
No one wants to. I don't go into business. I'm like, yeah, I want to fucking lose and I want to do this. But I had started to accept it more, because I knew that as it goes, like when it came to me and if something bad was happening, I really looked at it, I'm like, no, I was like, all right, cool. This is happening for a reason. And I just need to understand why, and I need to learn from it. And man, when I shifted my mindset and my perspective on everything moving forward like that, that's when everything started to really shift in my life, shift in business, shift in my relationships, and shift in everything. And I also started to notice too is in that time frame all the way up to there, what I was attracting all the wrong people into my life because of what I was putting out on social media, if that makes sense.
Totally.
And I was putting out the, you know what I'm saying, the luxury, the life, you know what I'm saying, that stuff.
The surface stuff.
Yes, and that's what it was. And I started to figure out, I'm like, why am I? But it's because of what I was putting on social media is who I was attracting into my life. And I needed to change that, and I needed to change how I thought, how I moved, and what I posted and what I said to attract the right people and the good people into my life, instead of the people that just want to take from me, the people that want to ride my wave, the people that just want to like see me lose or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, I mean, that was a big shift that really helped me out, like going through all that in that time.
Man, you already know you get me fired up, bro. I got chills right now. But you know, you said something and it just hit me so hard. Like, it made me emotional, but from an excited place, because it's when you realize, you know, I always say, be careful what you ask for. Yeah. Be careful for what you put out there, because it's about the journey, not the destination. And you are going to have to grow and evolve to become the version of you that's capable of carrying what you ask for. Yep. You're not going to ask for $1 million or $1 billion and not expect to have to grow through the challenges that millionaires and billionaires have to grow through in order to develop that wealth sustainably.
Yeah.
That's the key, sustainably, because you meet a lot of people who make a lot of money and lose it and commit suicide, you know, or have it all and they're not happy. They have no joy. They have no peace because they didn't develop self. They just developed a branch of business. They condition themselves for business, but not for life. So you realizing that at such a young age is huge, because I know adults, you know, I'm 42, be 43 this year. I know people older than me in business who haven't learned that yet.
Right.
Every time you talk to them, they're ready to give up. Every time you talk to them, they're tired of getting screwed over. Every time you talk to them, they're complaining about this, complaining about that. And it's not that we want to, as you said, grow through this process. But people like us realize that growth is the only way to attain evolution. Because if I stay the same, evolution doesn't happen. Nothing. So we dive into it. And that's what mastery is. Mastery is when we commit so much to the process of the efficiency of our own evolution that we become the highest versions of ourselves, capable of attaining and operating in that level of vision that was given to us. And I always say, with vision comes provision. You will never receive a vision for something that the provision is not available for. But the provision isn't in just what you get. It's in what you have to grow through, the tests you have to face, those pop quiz moments that are going to hit you so deep that it challenges you to break free from limiting beliefs, limiting mindsets, the state of focus, the things that we put our attentions on, the way that we value or devalue relationships, the way we handle money. Like, every aspect of you is going to hit. And self-mastery comes when it says, I don't want to just be better in this area. I want to be better in every area, starting with me.
Right.
So I accept it. I'm ready to step into it. Bring it on. Like you said, you would watch people and say, I'm going to do this better than you. And ultimately what that translates into is that ultimately nobody on this planet is better than you.
No.
And we think that. We look at society and there's always this competition. But ultimately, I always say, you will never be better than the best version of me, because you can never be me. And so what I love about you, man, is that you look at the best versions of other people, and through self-mastery, you're then able to look at yourself and say, how can I apply the best versions of them to the best version of me, so that I can take that, not imitate it, but emulate it in a way that I become a higher version of it.
Yes.
And that's powerful. And this is why I'm looking forward to just this next phase of your life. And, you know, we're going to jump into, you know, the solar company that you have. You've built that organization, you know, millions of dollars in revenue for that organization. But now you're moving into the space of education, you know, and we'll talk about FGMB, what you're doing with that, your nonprofit. You know, let's dive into that, because all of that couldn't be what it is right now without that level of awareness of self that drove you to say, I'm going to be the best, but not just that, I'm going to teach other people how to be the best.
Right. Well, I want to touch on something before I get in that, because you made something click that clicked for me. So what something that I heard or read, I don't know what it was, but basically it's like kind of like, how can you expect to have more if you're not growing in here? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like you hear all these people, like the people that live in the lottery, and if you give someone $1 million, why do they go broke right away? Well, something clicked for me that I was like, man, like, see, I've always been a hard worker. My dad always taught me that. He was a hard worker and always hustled, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is I was very great at working hard and doing whatever the job or task was to the best of my ability. That's why I always got promotions and raises so fast and made more money. But the thing is I wasn't making more money every year because I wasn't growing this up here. And I wasn't becoming and studying and growing my mind on expanding it on how to be having more knowledge in the space of just having to deal with money or doing things. So, I mean, it's like the same thing. I mean, you could be in a space where you can make a limited amount of money, but if you're not growing and you just keep doing the same thing and you're not actually like growing and learning how to be better, like you're just going to continue to make the same amount of money.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Like God's not going to give you $1 million. And if you're not smart with the million he gave you, he's not going to continue to give you more. And that's where I understood. I'm like, why? But I was like, that's where I went into that. I need to start getting financial literate. I need to be smart with my money. I need to understand money. I need to get money to work for me. And when I started being smart and knowledgeable on it, then that's when things started to shift and I started making more money every year. So now God's giving me more money. And now I'm seeing he's seeing what I'm doing with the money. And what's crazy is if I go past the last 5 years, the exponential, like the growth I've had over, like I could almost say a 33% growth in my income every single year in the last 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's every year and it's on the way up. So, but in the last 5 years, I could tell you that I've been focused up here, really diving in, becoming the best version of myself, studying, growing about the mindset, about how to be a better person, how to be the best person. You know what I'm saying? And financial literacy, investing money, like all these things, and just really stepping back and learning those and not making the same mistake over and over again. So, but yeah, man, I mean, if we jump back into it, after I lost everything in 2018, we could jump right in this because this is where the solar comes from. But I was doing door-to-door sales before, right? Basically, that's something that fell under and everything, went into network marketing. Well, then I'm losing everything. Long story short, how I could get into it is basically I get a call from, I call him basically like my uncle. He's like a family friend. He's known me since I've been in diapers. But I get a call to basically, hey, man, happy birthday. It was my birthday at the time, July 30th. Says, hey, man, I want to sit down and everything. Let's just have a talk. I got an opportunity for you. And let's just put all that stuff that we went through and everything behind us. Let's move on. Life is short. We're kind of like we're around each other, family and friends. So now basically I go sit down and I get presented this opportunity that says, hey, man, like I'm proud of you. I've seen what you've been doing. I see what you did in network marketing, blah, 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 right? He's like, you're one, only someone I could trust, but then two, seeing what you can do. I would like for you to basically build and start, build the solar company under my brand. So when I was doing door-to-door sales, it was through Envision. Well, at the time he had security. So basically, if you speed that up and everything, we're sitting down and he's saying, hey man, can you basically come in and build a solar company and run it and everything from the front? So at that time, you got to think, man, I lost everything. And this is the guy I'm going back to that I fell out with and everything that filed a lawsuit against me. So you could talk about humble. Like, you know what I'm saying? I lost everything. And then this happened with that guy. He's the one that filed the lawsuit against me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I got into network marketing and left that. And then I'm in this lowest point of my life, losing everything, moving back in with my aunt and Buckeye. And I get this call. So at the end of the day, I'm like, man, like just humble myself. Don't need to hold grudges. And like God always says, man, you got to forgive. So I just forgive, put it all behind us. And obviously I looked at the numbers look great. And in my head, I was just like, well, what else do I have to really lose, man? Like, I mean, I do this and it doesn't work out and I just keep going on with life. Or let's say I do this and the numbers that he's showing me really does work. And then because I'm running it, the deal he's going to give me is going to make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I ran with this. So 5 years ago, started building a solar company under Envision. So it's called Envision Solar, and basically partnered with Daryl doing that. So that's what really started that out 5 years ago. At the time, when I was in my first year in solar is when FGM hit me. And that's where FGM was created. So 4 years ago, FGM was started, and I was just driving in my car. And kind of to give you the back end story of how FGM was created is, I remember just one day I was driving in my car and everything, and all of a sudden something hit me and it sunk in, and just FGM, like it literally just sunk right in. And it was like FGM, first generation millionaire. And I go, I am the first generation, or I am the first millionaire of my generation. And then I'm like, I want to be a billionaire. I want to go to the next level. So for FGB, first generation billionaires, and it sounds good. I was like, it sounds sexy. It looks good. Yeah. And then boom, I was like, that's it. And what's crazy is if I back that up, now this is 2018, so we call it, I'm like 5, 6 years into entrepreneur space and all that stuff, network marketing, had great success, and broke some records in the second month that I was there, built a team over 6,000 people over across the whole world in 6 months. So there was some stuff there and everything, you know what I'm saying? Right. But where I'm going with that is when that came to me and everything and how that sunk in is, in that period of time in network marketing, in network marketing, when you do something big in network marketing, you got everybody coming to you, want to know how you did it, how can you help me, and all this stuff, right? So after that even prolonged there, I was getting questions, DMs, messages like, man, Like how do you keep going, bro? I've watched you. You went through 5 different companies. You know what I'm saying? You've lost it. You've had people do you dirty. I saw you were living in a penthouse. Now you're living out here. Like, why are you so confident still? You still act like, you know what I'm saying? Like you got it all. And it's not like, you know what I'm saying? So I was getting all these questions. Just how are you confident? How do you stay consistent? How do you keep going? And I'm being honest with you, man. Like I didn't have an answer. I didn't know what to tell people. And one thing I did know is I didn't want to lead people in the wrong direction because that's their life. So what clicked when that came into my head was I was like, boom, I got an idea. So what I know that I'd done and what I've always done for a long period of time is I was writing down my goals. I got up every morning at 4:30, maybe 5, but 4:30 to go to the gym. I had daily routines, and then I always wrote my stuff down. So I was looking back, and now I'm like, why was I so confident? What were the things that I was doing? What kept me going? And what made my mindset so strong? Well, I look back, I'm like, that was it. The reason what kept me going is my goals. I mean, every day you get up and you write those down, like that gave me like a click and a burst of energy of like, that's my life and that's my roadmap. I just got to go put in the work to get this. So that's what kept me going. And how did I stay confident? Well, in my daily routine, going to the gym, staying healthy, looking good, feeling good, doing all these things, there's was my confidence. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, just having real results backing it up. When I did door-to-door sales, I was a beast, man. I was making anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 a week. I was putting up 10 plus deals a week. I was doing that and everything. And network marketing came in and blew it up. So there's also confidence in there, knowing what you're doing and then having results to back it up. But it's really all these little things that I was doing and how I was doing my daily routines and habits that I had and I created over such a long period of time that made me that way. So when FGM and everything sunk into my head, what clicked and everything and why these books were created was because I'm like, boom, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a daily success book or / plan or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, and I'm going to put everything that I've always done in that book. And that's how I'm going to help people.
Right.
This is exactly how this came up.
Right.
And you could ask Michael. I call Michael. He's living in Miami at that time. I'm all, yo, I got it. We're going to word market. We're going to trademark it. We're going to LLC it. Like everything. It was so crazy. I called him. I'm like, I know what it is. And then I told him and I said, Lily, I just remember I remember this call I gave yesterday. I was like, bro, this is it, man. I don't know what it's telling me, but this is it. And then it even clicked for him. It was like awesome. Like, could you see it clicked for him on his end? And I was like, you wanna run this up with me? Like, let's go all in, bro. Like, I don't know what it is, but this is it. And he's like, yes, let's do it. So that's when we started creating the books. And in the meantime, again, was my first company back in 2012, an apparel fashion company would treat skateboard wax, but the wax was just to get me into the industry.
Right.
It was a curve. So I always loved fashion. I was like looking good, feeling good. Everyone calls me a pretty boy, whatever it is. So when we got into this and we started it, one thing I did know is the best way to spread brand awareness or awareness is through apparel. And so what we did was we basically started apparel while we were building the books so we could start brand awareness. Because the books, it was going to take us a while. We never done it. We didn't know how long. But long story short, that's where this came about. It's where FGB came about. And that's really what I thought and knew of it. And I knew I was the first one out of my generation to do it. So now I could go help create other first generation millionaires, other first generation billionaires, and take it to the next level because that's what I wanted to do. And because everybody's asking me, I took all the things that I did over the last 5-10 years and I put them in one central location that made me confident, that kept me consistent with the daily routines, thanking God, being grateful, and mapping out my life and writing down my goals. And that's where the goal book comes into play too as well.
Right.
So that's kind of how all that came about and sunk into me. And then that's when it really hit deeper. And as we're building that out over the last 4 years, every year we've came up with a newer book. We've added a new edition, which is the Daily Financial Planner. So if you now look at my story and you go back after even what we just said, all the things that I was trying to figure out and I know that I need to learn and to work on myself are sitting right here in front of us. So the daily routines and habits and everything were created through this book. What I know I needed to do because I wasn't financially literate, smart and everything, I was making a lot of money, but it was going out the door and it wasn't getting me anywhere. Daily financial literacy right here. Like, get your money done, understand how money works, get it to work for you, learn how to diversify it, invest it, you know what I'm saying? And then the goal, now I'm going to plan out my life. What is your roadmap? Do you know where you're going? Do you know what you want? Do you know what that looks like? And do you know how you're going to go execute your life? I mean, the writing down your goals is a clear roadmap of your life and where you want to go. So what you write down and what you put out and put the action towards with intention, you're going to get it no matter what. And what's crazy is this is what even more confident. Because I was writing my goals down, like, and this was even before, obviously, we created these. I was writing my goals down. The goals I was writing down, I'm marking goals off and I'm hitting them. Like the penthouse I lived in, I was writing down that I lived in a penthouse and it was specific because I went and looked at it and everything, but I'm living in a penthouse. So where I had more confidence is I was writing my goals down and the goals I was writing down, I was hitting them. So it's building confidence. I mean, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, whatever I write down, I could really go get.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it really clicked for me. So that's kind of how solar started, getting into the solar industry, and then partnering with Envision and Daryl to do that. And then also, right, with my first year in solar, when I started doing all that, making that type of money, that's in my first year, when this click and this brand stuck into me. So you got to keep in mind, like about 4 or 5 years ago, I started a solar and I started this at the same time, and they're both right now scaling. Now, obviously, solar is the main thing that's scaled and everything that's bringing in this more. Every year we've been fine tuning these. This is our fourth book that we've landed on, our third one that we've landed on, and we're coming out with our final product. But you gotta understand, again, we didn't know. You build your first book and you get out there and you get out to people and then you get all this stuff. Hey man, like change this, do that. So then we redefine it, come out with a new book. Then we came out, I remember our first one was a spiral bound, all plastic spiral bound. And we went to a leather book. And you know what I'm saying? Then we got the tassel and we got all the nice stuff. So, I mean, you can see these books here, very nice, high quality books and everything, came a long way. And we finally got to our finished product and everything. So that's kind of really how FGMB came about. Now, actually, if I was to mesh it together to kind of tell that story, you have FGM and FGB. What was hard is I was creating clothes for FGB and I was creating clothes for FGM, but the books, it was like, I can't create 2 books.
Right.
That didn't make sense. And then it was too much, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, well, people like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? So what we did was we meshed them together. So that's why it's called FGMB, First Generation Millionaires to Billionaires. And then under it, it says millionaires to billionaires. So if you think about it, that's where that gets. So that's where that's meshed. And a lot of people want to know what FGMB stands for. That's what FGMB stands for. First Generation Millionaire to Billionaire. And then the company's called Millionaires to Billionaires. So we mesh them together so we keep everything under one brand, one name, one logo, and run it on there, and only have to make one product, not double products for everything that we did.
Yeah.
Another thing I learned in business, man, I mean, you put in an apparel order, I mean, one order could cost $5,000, but if you got 2 different things, the same thing, and you want to do both, I mean, that's $10,000. Everything's double now. And when you're working a job to basically just get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks to invest into the company, you got to be smart with it. And that's what I learned is I had to be smart with the money. I had to be precise with it, and I had to prioritize my funds that were coming in, because I didn't just have an investor drop $100,000, $500,000, or $1 million on me. No one did. Like, I had to go work a full-time job to make that much money to pay my personal bills and some to then build my dreams on the side. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand, man, is like just start it. Like, if you want an idea, you have anything you want to do, you don't have to save up for so many years. You don't have to wait till you leave your job, like, because you won't ever do it. It won't ever happen. Like, you just need to start with whatever it is and figure it out on your way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a life university. You're going through it on your own. You're figuring it out as you go. But if you really want it that bad, you will figure it out, and you won't give up until you get there. So that kind of speeds you up to that of how these came about and where that's came. So.
I love it, man. And guys, I know some of you are listening to the podcast. You're not watching the video. The video will be on the Evolve Mastery YouTube channel, but the journals that he's talking about, the journal, the daily planner, the success planner, and the daily goal book is, I mean, not only are these things that you can write your stuff down in, there's tips, there's books to read, tells you how to write your journal, how to vision cast, you know, it gives you quotes, it gives you all the information you need to take this journey of self-mastery, to create a life by design, to create your ideal life. And, you know, even that's evolving now, these 3 becoming one, you know, and again, becoming more efficient, you know, but then it's even going into education. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, it really, like, what I like and what's different, if you guys, and a lot of you people could probably agree with me, but in this industry of entrepreneurship, and even more than ever now, is everybody wants to talk about all the things to do and how to get there and what they went through, but no one's providing tools. So again, talk about, let's go, like, even going back to being a creator and not being in a competition, hopping into an industry where it's not oversaturated. Real estate's oversaturated, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of things are oversaturated, and it's like everybody's getting those same things that are oversaturated. So it's like, when you look at it, that's what even makes it even better, is like, there's not really a lot of people out there providing the tools to help you get to where you need to be and become the best version of yourself. So on the education side, what's cool about these 3 books that we've created is they don't just have the things in there, but it's education in the front of the book that teaches you how to do it and why you're doing what you're doing, the right way and the wrong way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you could write your goals down, but you could be writing them wrong the whole time, and you'll never get nowhere. But if you write them the right way with intention, you can get somewhere and you can start to see results in life. So really, I mean, man, like in these books is like, it's starting with the basics, you know what I'm saying? And then, because there's levels to it, but it's starting with the basics of everything you really need to know, the habits. It's helping you recreate new habits. And I think that's what got me to where I'm at, is creating good habits and multiple good habits, so that's where it gets you, so you can see your life start to transform down the road. So I talk with my guys a lot, but if you think about it, there's a lot of things that we do in life that, and you have to look at it as like, is this a negative for me in my life, or is this a positive? And it's the same thing, and it's in your finances as well. When you're buying things, is it a want or is it a need? I mean, there's so many different ways we can go through this and everything, but it really starts with the basics, and it's what we need to know. And these are things that people don't know, and they don't know that if you do these consistently with discipline over a long period of time, I mean, it's going to get you somewhere. And I think that's what it is for me. I mean, you know, and everything, it takes 254 days to fully formulate a habit. 90 days starts to create the habit, and then you have basically, you call it your 30 to 60 days is where it starts to create it. You know what I'm saying? So it's understanding that and then doing it for a long period of time. What's crazy is most people just don't want to give it enough time to do it and go through that, what that looks like. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where the disciplines come in. You know, a lot of people want the result without the discipline. You know, if I want to be stronger, I can't just go to the gym, you know, and pick up 225 pounds the first time I sit on a weight bench. You know, I'm going to have to lift the weight that I can maintain from where I am. And I'm going to have to start adding weight to condition, but it's going to take discipline. Like, we can talk about conditioning all day long, but you can't even have conditioning without discipline. I go to the gym now, you know, people see me. I had a guy walk up to me the other day. He was like, man, what do you do? Curl elephants? And I'm laughing, but you know, I was thinking about this yesterday. When I look in the mirror, I don't think I'm big, because it's been a lifestyle for so long for me that when I look in the mirror, I feel normal.
That's the same here.
You know,
I've been working out since I was 7th grade. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I haven't stopped, and I'm 29 now. So you look how long that is. And a lot of people look at me like same thing, but I don't feel like that. And it's me versus me. And I'm like, man, I feel small right now. I don't look that good. And people are like, man, you look fucking good. And I'm all, yeah.
But that plays into how we see business, how we see our goals. People who have been doing it consistently, who have conditioned themselves to the point where this isn't just something we want to do, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. You know, creating success should be a lifestyle. Self-mastery should be a lifestyle. Discipline should be a lifestyle. And in the beginning, creating that lifestyle is tough because you're developing muscle that you didn't have prior, you know, and that means muscle, in order for it to grow, it has to stretch. That's why you have to squeeze blood into the muscle so that it can expand, and it expands. And in some cases it tears, you know, and it's
how you grow. It
builds. That's how you grow. A lot of people aren't willing to stretch enough to grow. Well, you know, so go ahead.
No, it just goes to it, because right now, today, more than ever, everybody wants to live that life. Everybody wants to be the CEO, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but not everyone's willing to put in the work and to go through everything that you have to go through to get there. And as soon as something happens to them and they go through it and everything, they want to blame the world and everybody else when they should be blaming themselves.
Right.
And that's what's wrong, man, is like, it's you versus you. The choices you've made and where you're at right now is because of the choices that you've made, the decisions you've decided to make. I mean, it's a direct reflection of your life, man. Like, literally, like, you can, and when you see someone, you know where they're at, it's like, man, it's what you've done and the choices you've made and everything over the last 5-10 years of your life is where you're at today. And again, you got to go through it, man. Like, being in business and everything is not easy, and it takes time. Some people, obviously, they pop quick and then they have that success very fast. But why do you think that 97% of the world's average and 3% of them is running this 97% of the world?
Right.
Because 3% are willing to go through what the 97% aren't, but the 97 want what the 3% want and everything, but they won't go through what it is. And when you're willing to go through that shit and not give up and everything, you'll become one of the top 3%ers and everything, and then you get to reap the reward and enjoy that life.
Right.
But the thing is you never know when that's going to come, and how many people right now can continue to go on their journey not knowing when it's going to hit for them. I think that's what's big.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's crazy, man, because like the way that we're talking right now, this is our everyday normal conversation, the way we talk to each other. Like, I always say, I want people in my life who are willing to hit me hard, like who are willing to speak so directly to my potential, you know. But you have a lot of people out there, you can't even speak to them hard without them saying, why are you being hard on me? You know, I feel like you just don't understand. It's like, no, I see you, but beyond seeing you, I love you more than you're willing to love yourself. I'm willing to say the same thing to you that I had to say to myself. You say you want to have the strength, the mental clarity, the mental solidarity, the ability to step into the things that I've stepped into. But if you're not willing to have the conversations that I was willing to have with myself, if me speaking this way to you isn't catering to what you think or what you feel, you're not ready for it.
Exactly.
And that's why, like even what we're working on now, the Legacy Builder Elite, like working with people who are really ready to leave a legacy. This isn't a, let's get together and network. Networking has its place. This is a let's get together and build. If you're ready to get into a circle of people who are going to push the hell out of you, who are going to say, don't just stand on the cliff, or I'm going to kick you off so you can form wings and fly, or you're going to fall. Yeah. Now, what we're doing is creating a space for leadership, number one, self-leadership, life leadership, and vision manifestation. Vision that impacts a legacy that outlives you. And that takes a certain type of communication. It takes a certain type of awareness. It takes a certain level of self-mastery in order to get to that point, but what you've done, even with the planners and the books that you've created, the brand that you're building, and there's so many different levels to this. Guys, all of his links to everything that they do are going to be in the podcast description, but make sure you guys get connected to him. You're going to have his Instagram, all of his information, but really, I mean, we can go on and on. Like, these are conversations we have every single day, but go ahead.
No, man, I mean, I now if I could jump back to the solar side, because I could tell you where there's some struggles in the solar business and when you're dealing with people. So what's crazy is that talk that you just told me, that's what's been hard for me with growing a company, growing a team, leading and managing managers, regional managers, building an office, like all these things that go into it. That's what is a challenge for me. And then there's a reason why I went through it, and I'm still going through it over the last 5 years, is it's making me the person I am to be able to manage and oversee a company of, just think about when I get to it, over 1 million employees, 100,000 employees. So what's hard is I know what I know that needs to be done to get where I need to go to and where I've gotten to. So when you're portraying that message to these people and everything, what I had to really understand and everything is, not everybody thinks like me, not everybody moves like me, and not everybody's been through what I've been through. Mm-hmm. So I have to watch how I say things and how I talk to people and understand where they're at and what they want out of life, and then guide them through their lens, but still applying some of what I want towards them, of knowing where they want to go.
Right.
And that's what's so hard, man, is seeing this opportunity. I can tell you, this solar opportunity has been crazy, man. I mean, you could literally hop into this and you could go sell a solar deal and make anywhere from low end $3,000 to $20,000 per deal. Mm-hmm. So, and if you think about it, I mean, some people can't even fathom that. But if you go out there and you could literally, like this week, make $20,000, $30,000 in solar, that's what some people make in 1 year. Mm-hmm. You can make that in a week here. You know what I'm saying? So what's crazy is getting in that space, dealing and managing young entrepreneurs, or if you want to call them just young individuals, young adults. What's hard, man, is like what I've started to find out is there's two different types of people, man. People that are, and it's okay. Both of them are okay. Right. I want to make sure that everyone understands this, because you're not bad or anything like that at all. These people just haven't found where they wanted to go. I was at a job at 18, 19, 20. I could be looked at as one of those people. But what I'm trying to say is, when they come into and I'm specific to solar, when you come into this business and you could find out how much money you can make, and then you see how much money you make, you could get very complacent and comfortable quick, because here's how it goes. And what I'm gonna say is, for people that do this job or are in this solar industry that make this type of money, it's okay. But if you're just doing that and that's your career and that's it, the thing is it's hard getting someone to continue to grind and see a bigger picture and put themselves in a greater financial position, because how they look at it is, when they get in and they make 5, 6, 7, 8 grand on a deal, they're like, oh shit, well, my bills are only $2,200 a month. I'm good for the next couple months. So now they sit back and relax. Mm-hmm. They don't grind and then they wait for it to catch up, and then they go grind and they go get a deal in. But it's like, well, what? And see, my mindset is like, well, no, like go get another one, go get another one, go get another one, go get another one. Like, why not stack up the bank to, like, why not go get 100 grand in 1 month? Why just get the 8 grand and then chill and then go get another one? Yeah. Does that make sense? But what I've seen and everything is, people that have a want, a desire, a need, or they're chasing their dreams outside of it, they're just they have that. Those people grind a lot harder than the people that don't. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. Like I said, both are okay. some people just haven't found out what they want, or they might not ever. They just want to find a good career, good job, and they just want to work there forever, which is okay too. But what's hard in everything is getting and working with people, is understanding and getting them to see the bigger picture, even though they don't want to.
Right.
When you know what that opportunity can do for them and they don't want to, and like you say, you see something greater in them, and then you know what they're going through, it's like, man, like only if you grinded like this and you stayed in that mode all the time, imagine where you could put yourself over the next 10, 15, 20 years of your life. But then it's crazy, but that's just the difference within those people and everything. But main thing with managing people, getting everyone to understand that, is knowing how to and talking to them at the right way. It's like, I got to define and know each individual person, like why they're doing this job and what their goals are and what their desires are and what they want out of life. And that's how I got to tailor how I talk to them on that. Right. So building and managing people, and especially young individuals, especially in the solar business over the last 5 years, it's been a big challenge for me. And see, I sometimes start to tend to think that like everyone should just think like me, move like me, and grind like me, but it's not, man. And I had to come to that solution. I mean, it's, again, why is 97% of the world average and 3% running the 97% of the world? I mean, and those are real true numbers. So it's just, you got to understand that, know that and everything, and then pivot, knowing how to do that and talking to people. Yeah. Because you could run people out of your company if you're talking to them thinking that you're going to make them like you and they're going to be like you. You can't, man. In today's world, it's 10 times worse. And you got to watch how you talk to people, man. You can say one little thing and they're soft, they cry, they freaking crumble up and everything, or they want to call you the bad person. Yeah. Like, man, like, I'm a bad person because I want to see you win. I want to see you make more money, put yourself in a great financial position for you and your family, live the life you want. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So,
it's crazy. And I think this is why, doing what I do is so important, because people ask me, why don't you build a big, a big business with your coaching? And I say, because it's like you said, not everybody's ready, and that's why, I say I only work with 5 people at a time, because
we have to work with people that want it. And
right.
I talk about that all the time, man. I'll be honest with you, network marketing, man, like that's what's so hard, is like people say they want it, but they don't really want it. Like they join it and everything. Some people join it just to be around people and all that stuff, or to say that they're in it and then go to the conventions. And
there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But what I don't like is how people want to talk about bad on us, or say that we're bad people because of the way we run our business and how we deal with people, because we know what we've been through.
Right.
It's like, man, like for you, it's like you can't coach everybody. One, there's 2 reasons why. One, because it's hard coaching someone that doesn't really want it that bad, but they say they do. And then 2, they're not willing to put up the money for your coaching. I mean,
right.
It's how do you work with that? And that's why you have to have that level of it. But it makes it really hard. Network marketing, that was the same thing too. That was a challenge for me, as I grinded, I did all these things and all that stuff, and I wanted people to see it, but no one wanted to move like I did. There was no need for it. And that's what's really hard and everything. And then it sucks, because when you want to go somewhere, you got these goals and things you want to do, and you want to take people that way with you. But at the end of the day, man, if they don't see it and they don't want it as bad as you, like that's where you got to let go, and you just got to keep moving forward with your life and do what you're doing and everything.
Right. And that's where it comes back to, I always say lifestyle. It's exactly that. It's a life that you style. You can't say, I want to be top 3%, but then style your life like the 97%. You can't say, I want to have better relationships, better financial situation, but then you style your life with habits and routines that don't create that lifestyle.
Exactly.
And so that's what it comes down to. And that's how I usually present it to people is, you guys, how many of you want to, and this, I'll create a separation, because everybody doesn't want that lifestyle.
Right.
Some people just want to make enough to survive and then travel.
Which is okay.
And it's completely fine. And I think that's where we have to, and I know we're good at this, is take away the judgment and say, okay, it's okay, but in our close circle space, we're both wired to lead leaders who want to stylize a life of legacy, millionaires to billionaires, impact billions of lives, leave a legacy that outlives us, and so that's where we create the distinction. If you are one of those people, you're a high level performer, A-type personality who knows that you're here to create a legacy, who knows that you're here to leave a major mark in the world, understand that the majority don't think that way. The majority don't process that way. They don't, connect. They're more emotional than spiritually conscious, as it pertains to vision. They're led by the moments and the experiences of moments and not the vision and how they can show up in the moment.
Right.
And that's what creates a distinction between those who create that powerful lifestyle and the lifestyle of legacy, and those who just create a life that they can kind of navigate through, and just survive. Mm-hmm. It's a difference between survival and living and creating a life.
And that's where I want to be at, man. I like to live and I like to create. And when you're on that level, I think like you're always growing, you're happy, you feel fulfilled. And when you're creating, you're winning. And when you're winning, I mean that dopamine, how that gives you that feeling, no one can take that away from you. It's like unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? So it's just exciting because our bigger mission, our bigger goal of what we're doing is more bigger than just myself and then this. But I mean, our goal is to impact, our mission is to impact over 1 billion lives with our education products. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of you guys don't know, but these are all 3 books are being put in one central location to where it'll be just one big book and everything looking kind of like that gold book. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I mean, it's exciting and I'm excited to do it. But one thing I could tell you in the last 5 years of going through building the solar side of the company, what's been very successful is helping change the mindsets and get the mindsets right in people. You could ultimately train on sales and you could train on solar and products and services so much, but I mean that there's only extent level of that. If you could change the mindsets and get people to create new habits for their lives and everything, then you'll see that your company will grow, your people will grow, and then the business will grow. Mm-hmm. Build your people, build your company. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And I think that's what's gotten us to where we are. Like I was talking about last year, 5 years or 4 years in, that was our 4th year. This would be 5th year. But scaling it and doing the business over, I mean, right now, if I say when I first started, it was just me, and then up to 4 years, we now have 3 offices, one in Las Vegas, one in Tucson, one right here in Phoenix. And then we had our biggest year of over 50 million in gross sales, and then over 35 basically people out knocking doors, grinding and everything. So it's been cool to go through the experience. It's awesome to see the growth, over 33% of growth and increase every single year. And doing these things that you see here that we've talked about is what's helping me get to where I am, and my mindset, my habits, my daily routines, and everything that I do, and feeding that into my people and everything, and getting their mindsets right, getting their habits right, their daily routines and all that. It's going to help grow your business. It's going to help grow, and it's going to take you to the next level of where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Wow, man. And, I love that you hit on, what you guys are working on now. Like, number one, it's because you implement these things. I always say you can't take somebody somewhere you haven't been. And you've accomplished in years what most people never accomplish over a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so I always say, look for the experts in their space. Look for the experts in the education space. Look for the experts in the space of finance. Look for the experts who've actually done what they're teaching other people to do, because that's where the power is. It's not just about the words or reading a book. It's about getting the wisdom, because I say there's a wisdom. You can get the information, but information doesn't become wisdom until it becomes knowledge embodied.
Right.
And that's the difference. But you are also creating other tools right now with, what you're creating with the new aspect of everything. And that's the ideal, yes. Creating your ideal life. And I'd love for you to talk about ideal, what you're doing with the ideal book. And also you got an app coming out too, right?
Yes. So, basically, obviously you guys see everything here. What we've done is we put all 3 books in one central location. We knew this, obviously the name, the logo, the branding of it is great, but it's not what's meant for the marketplace, if that makes sense. Right. And where we're going with this education is we're going to be going into schools, colleges, and companies worldwide. So if you think about it, what we've done is put all the books in one central location, and we've rebranded the name and the logo, which is called Ideal, where you're creating your ideal life. So that's obviously it's more appealing, the way it looks, and then also like the way it sounds. Like, for example, like getting these right here. I'm not saying it could. I'm not saying it's impossible, but trying to get these to kids and students and colleges, that branding, that name, it doesn't settle well. But you take the ideal and you take that to the schools, the colleges, the kids, that will be taken in. And it's really just opening it up more. And again, like I said, this is bigger than me. Yes, how I've created and how I've started it isn't how it's going to end. That's just how I thought of it and how it came to me. But I want to do it the right way. And it's just like anything and ever. You see Apple, you see Nike, you see all these companies with one word, one logo that very stands out, that's there. And sometimes this could be too much, and I think it is. So rebranding everything, putting it in one central location. And not only that, a lot of people everything's going digital. So what would be cool, I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if you could take these books and be able to do it digital and not have to have a hardcover copy?
Right.
Well, now we've taken all these books and it's going to be in the app in one central location. Now inside of that app, you're going to be able to find a lot more things. You're going to have our podcast inside of there. We're going to have billionaires educating inside of the app. You're going to be able to create vision boards and vision videos inside of the app. You're going to be able to communicate with everyone inside of the app, and it's going to hold you accountable. So there's a lot more things that are going to be going into that app, but that's just kind of a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to be inside the app. All these books going digital, and now taking them all one central location and having one book and everything branded as Ideal. So that'll be the app and the new book coming, a new version, the final version of the book coming out here in the next basically 90 to 120 days, called Ideal, where you create your ideal life. And our goal and our mission is to impact over 1 billion lives and help people create their ideal lives and become the best versions of themselves.
And again, this is why I love you, brother, because the same wisdom that you gained in the beginning of your journey has evolved even in this phase, because now you're not only attacking the market for entrepreneurs, you're attacking the market of the world, the education system. Because what's the one thing people always ask? Why don't they teach this stuff in schools? Of course, reading, writing, arithmetic, those things are important.
Yep.
You know, science, it's cool. But ultimately, none of that stuff is teaching kids how to live their lives. None of that stuff is teaching kids how to find their identity. College students coming out, paying thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, get out, never using their degree, never getting hired. Their jobs pay them less than what their degree was worth, but they're not learning what they need to learn to create their ideal life, which if they just apply these principles, it will change the game for everyone. And so you found something in saturated markets that wasn't being talked about, that wasn't being hit. Everybody had ideas. Everybody wanted to have a conversation, but what Ideal is the solution.
Yes.
And
it's the tool.
It's the tool.
Yes.
Man, so powerful.
Well, and if you look back on it, man, you could put literally a check mark next to this, but if you look back and then you study and you look at all the successful entrepreneurs that have became millionaires and became billionaires, or sold or exited companies or built them to $1 million or $1 billion plus dollars, they do all these things. This is what they've done and still even do to this day that keep them where they're at. So at the end of the day, it's almost like if they're doing it, it's the same thing, man. Like find someone that has what you want and do whatever it is that they're doing to get to where they want. Well, I could tell you anybody and everybody that was successful that's out there living their ideal life, creating it financially free and happy. Not all of them are happy. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying they implement and did all these things, are still doing all these things to this day inside their life.
Success principles.
And if you see, like, if you look at my social media and everything in my presence, I'm not out there like that. One thing that I told myself is, and I think it's also hard, this is what I don't get with people in social media though, is I feel and think that for you to get on social media and educate people and lead people from whatever industry that it is, you need to go through it and experience it first and have really true wisdom and experience to be able to educate someone on it. And my only thing is why I don't get on social media or haven't in the last 7-8 years is because I wanted to figure it out first. I wanted to go through life and I wanted to go through my experiences, everything, so that I could coach and lead people and direct people in the right direction of wisdom and experience, not just, oh, I saw Joe Schmo talk about this, so I'm just going to take his video and then reiterate it on this and then put it out there like as if it's me. Right. I'm going to read 15 books and then I'm going to go talk about the 15 books I read and put it out there on social media and act like this is me. Like, really actually go through an experience, live your life, go through your life university, whatever that looks like. And then if you're going to actually really do it, actually go on social media and then actually coach and lead people and put that content out there. But if you haven't, man, stop doing that, because there's people out there like myself 7-8 years ago when I started this, I was looking for help. I was looking for guidance. And this whole social media thing with everybody putting everyone's a fucking coach and everybody's a leader and everybody knows everything and they're all business owners and CEOs and entrepreneurs, like, dude, if you're really fucking not, like, stop putting that shit out there.
Right.
Like, I'm just being honest, like, on some real shit. Like stop putting it out there. The reason why I'm starting to put it out there is because I got real shit that I could talk about. I got real shit I've been through. I went through the experience. I've lost everything. I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, and it sucks when you really know the people that are putting it out there. And then it's like, man, it's like, you know that person in their real life. And you're like, God damn, bro. Like, like, That's not you, bro. But again, what I love is what you put out and how you attract people is what you're going to get back.
Right.
So genuinely, at the end of the day, if it's real and authentic, you'll attract the right people, the right business, and the right opportunities in your life. And the people that don't and that are putting it out there and it's not really them, they're just trying to be that person to make this what it looks like. I mean, again, time promotes you or exposes you. It only gives it time. We'll see where you're at in 5 years. We'll see where you're at in 10 years. And we'll see where you're at in about 20 years.
Right.
We'll see where the next decade goes for you. And it's not to talk down on those people, but my main thing is these people are leading people that really want to figure out life and become the best version of themselves, and they're leading them down a fucking pipeline of bullshit.
Right.
And fakeness. It's like, man, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what I've learned too is I went through it my own. I saw someone or got directed to somebody because they were a professional in the space and I needed it for my business, and come to find out, I give them my money, I do this, and they really weren't a professional. They really didn't know what they were doing. But because social media looked like it, and homeboy over here said that he's the right dude, he did. And any advice for anybody that I could tell you and everything, if you want to try to miss that the best you can, before just getting so excited and someone either just selling you on something at a networking event and looking at their social media of what they're posting, like actually do your real due diligence on that person and look for two things: facts and data.
Right.
Where is that at? What facts? What have they done? What are the results? What have they actually really made, and what they're trying to teach you and coach you on? And two, look at the data of that. How long have they been doing it for?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why with you and everything, you're coaching everything, like a lot more, it's the same thing, man. Like I would, if I needed someone to teach me about self-mastery and how to become a better speaker and all that stuff, bro, I'm going to hire you. You've been doing it for 20 years plus, and I could see what you've done and how you've been doing it, and you've evolved a lot of other people. So it's, again, same thing. It's just like, you wouldn't go to LeBron James to learn how to be a boxer, would you?
Right.
Oh, man. But what if LeBron James he's putting out on social media that he's boxing all this stuff, and it looks like he is, but you go to him, it's like, no, bro. Like, do your due diligence on these people. So that's my only advice, man. And for anybody out there that is, if you're listening to it, I'm sorry, but just fucking stop putting it out there. If you haven't really been through that experience, you haven't been through that type of life, like, don't educate people and steer people in the way that you think it is. Like, do it from the bottom of your heart, and do it because you really, truly love and are real about what you're doing, and you've actually been through it.
I'm literally sitting here right now. Like, you guys have no idea how much I want to be like, I'm containing right now, because this is what people need to hear.
It is.
And this is what people don't want to hear, because we've been fooled by the fakeness.
Yep.
But this is real. Real talk doesn't feel good to fake people.
Well, yeah, it doesn't.
It's a program though.
It is, bro. And again, it's like, and sometimes the other part of me is like, damn, like, I kind of feel bad for you because you kind of don't know what you don't know, and you're just lost and everything trying to figure it out. So it's like the slightly other part of me is like, man, like, he just doesn't know what he doesn't know. But also at the end of the day, I mean, you got to use some fucking common sense, and you got to understand that, like, what you're putting out there and what you're saying and what you're educating on, man, motherfucker, you know, if you really went through that shit and you really know what you've been doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, use some common sense. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what's crazy is, there's going to be people who listen to this podcast because we go deep, and we talk. You guys see, this is a different style of people that I'm talking to now, because I realized that for years, I talked about self-mastery, and then I had people and they talked about spirituality and all the stuff. But I was like, look, what is the one thing that's keeping people? Because for me, you and I are so much alike. There's so much synergy between us. And we've walked down the paths of two completely different roads, but our vision of the world and our impact is the same. And so I started asking myself, even with this podcast, what new direction do I want to take it in? People need real talk, because the same people, pat you on the back, you can do it, blah, blah, blah. That's great. And you need that. But at the same time, you need people who are going to be honest enough with you to challenge you in the areas where you haven't yet learned how to challenge yourself. Because, as you said, you don't know what you don't know, and some people may see this. Some of the people who've been listening to my podcast for a while, there may be some shock value in this podcast. And if that's not for you, by all means, there's plenty of other podcasts out there, but the podcast that you're on now is beginning to change. And I want to introduce you to real people living a real life who come with real talk, different walks of lives, but people, this podcast is shifting to a space where, again, the conversations I have with myself, it's like this. You know, there's days I get in the mirror, and when I don't feel like doing stuff, I get in front of the mirror and I ask myself, what the hell are you doing? You sitting here, why are you even focused on that right now? Why are you giving these people your time? Why are you putting energy into focusing on this? How bad do you really want it? You know, going back to what you said earlier, how bad do you really want it? You don't wake up every single day and make excuses. I don't have time to make excuses, bro. I don't have time to focus on what I don't have and who's not showing up and why they aren't there. You know, at the end of the day, Princeton's going to be who the hell I say Princeton's going to be. You know, and most people are not willing to face themselves that same way. And I realize that again, the evolution of a brand, if I really wanted to impact leaders, you know, which that top 3%, or let's say 7%, you know, those who make millions of dollars or who are breaking six figures, and they're still kind of comfortable, but they want to go to that next level. You know, what does that look like? Okay, this is what that looks like.
Right.
You know, because I love everybody. And that's something that I realize even with my brand. I love everybody, but everybody is not ready to be the best, most efficient version of themselves. And I can't keep staying down here it's going to be okay. And if you do this, that, and the other, no, because it's not.
Well, it's crazy you say that. And I checked this out. I was just having a conversation with someone the other day, but see where I was also fucking up and where I'm kind of done with it is there's a gap. And when I say this, and it's a gap with every relationship with someone you know, so that gap is different, right? So there's even gaps that this is me at the bottom and someone else is at the top. But right now I'm talking about this gap for me. And what I was doing and where I was wrong and everything is because of that, I was coming down to everybody else's level. And when you do that, it's kind of like you're almost like you're almost kind of like throwing away everything of like your stuff, your confidence, all that stuff and everything because you're coming down to the level like thinking that it's okay. But a thing is, what I've learned and everything is that I got to stop coming down to everybody's level and moving and thinking like them to get them to see this level of this gap. I have to stay here and keep running and keep going. If the gap keeps getting separated from that person, it is what it is. That's on them. But the thing is I need them to come up to me.
Right.
And that's very few people. So my any advice for you guys on your journey and going through it, man, there's going to be a lot of times and everything you're going to go through that with friends and family, people telling you those things and talking shit about it or whatever and not liking what you're doing and everything. And it is what it is, man. You got to run. If they want to be around you, they want to do those things and they want to live like you're living and travel the world, do what you like what you're doing. They need to close the gap and come up to you and you can't come back down to them.
Right.
And again, it goes to the same thing. Like what sucks is in today's world is like, a lot of people don't understand where they're at in their lives, where someone's at. So you stop hanging out, like you get in this and you have so much things going on in your life and business and everything that you don't even have time to hang out with friends. You don't even have time to do stuff on the weekends. And what some people start to portray that as is like, oh, you don't fuck with me no more. Oh, you don't like me like that. It's like, nah, man, like I just don't got time to just be hanging out, not doing anything that doesn't bring value to my life.
Right.
And you have to just be willing to just understand that whether they think that or not, and then whether they say, you know what, well, fuck you, like you lost me as a friend, or they're talking bad about you because of that, you just have to just brush off and just keep moving forward.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, like again, time promote you or exposes you. In 5 years, you'll see if they close that gap. Did they come up to you or did you keep running? Where are they at? But just keep running, man. That's all I got to say. Because, dude, you're going to sacrifice a lot of stuff. And when you fulfill your time and prioritize your time and your family, you're going to eliminate all that outside stuff and you won't be around. I'm not around at all the networking events. I'm not around at all the parties. I'm not around hanging out with everybody and doing all that stuff. Do I want to? Fuck yeah, I do. I want to bad, bro. Like, I love to be at the galas. I love to be at the networking events. I love to be hanging out with the homies and stuff on the weekends. But right now, do I have the time to do that? And should I be? No. Is it feeding me? No. Right. And really understand that. But some people look at it as like, oh, you just don't fuck with us, or you think you're too cool, or like to be around us, and like you're not my boy because you don't want to come out and everything. And it's like when you say no over so many times and they stop, it's like, it is what it is.
The gap just increased, bro.
Well, yeah, it gets lonely, and I know a lot of people say it's lonely at the top, but I disagree. I don't think it's lonely at the top. The top's getting larger. The only thing is it's lonely on your way up.
Right.
And why I say that is because you haven't gotten to the top, so you haven't gotten there yet to find out how many people are really up there. It's not lonely up there, but you also are on your way to the top. So as you're going through that journey, it's lonely because you're losing all of your people that you currently had in your life at that time and everything. And it's because of what you have to do to get to where you want to be. But once you get to the top, man, it's not lonely up there. There's a whole different breed of people. And see, now I compare myself to that too as well. See, the gap is down here. That top 3%'s here. See, I compare myself to the top 3%ers. I don't compare myself to the average. And because I compare myself to the top 3%ers, I work different, I move different, and I want things differently. So I gotta close this gap to get to the top 3%ers. I want to be in the room with Jeff Bezos. I want to be in the room with Elon Musk, with Ed Mylett, with Andy Frisella. I want to be in the rooms with Dean Graciosi. I want to be in the rooms with those. I want to be in the rooms with people talking high level, doing big deals, doing things, and helping the world, impacting lives, and being able to move differently. I want to be able to live the life that I want, come and go as I please, travel the world, take care of my family. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm kind of getting going and everything, but
I love it, man. Man, you know, I'm sitting here listening to you talk, man. I think, you know, we're launching the Legacy Builder Elite. You know, man, I think I want to create a segment on the Evolve Mastery podcast, a Legacy Builder segment, where we come back and we have conversations. Because you and I could literally chime and go.
I know. Yep.
We could literally have part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. You know, I say let's just make it a segment. You know, we're working and doing some stuff together, man. So, guys, again, I'm still gonna be bringing all the good lovey-dovey stuff, but you guys know I hit you hard. I hit you real. I show you where you're not showing up for yourself. But I'm gonna start introducing different people from different walks of life, showing you that it doesn't matter where you come from. Truth is truth, no matter where you find it. You know, and man, like I said, we could go on and on. I know you got deals to make, deals to close, meetings to lead, and the day goes on. But guys, I want you guys to follow Blake, get connected. Blake, how can they get in contact with you?
You can follow my personal page is Blake A. Hahn. You can follow me there, obviously all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But the company side of things, really what you want to stay tuned for is the launch of our app and the launch of our new book, which is Ideal. Go join or go follow Ideal and join the wait list and get ready. We're going to be starting beta tests somewhere around like June, July-ish, and opening up the app. So we're really excited for launch, but go follow that. You have FGM Hub, which is mainly the main hub where you'll see everything being posted there. Our nonprofit is Winners Give Back. Go follow our nonprofit. A percentage of all sales that come through our company are donated back to the schools and kids and everything for the education programs. And every piece of apparel of an item that we sell of apparel through our company, we donate one piece of apparel to the homeless or into the need that need apparel. So Winners Give Back is our nonprofit company. Go follow Ideal, which is the education platform and where the app and the new book is going to be sold at. And then also FGM Hub is the main hub of everything that is housing all of everything that I just went over, where you can find everything about what we're doing, how we're doing it, where we're moving, events that are coming up and things like that. And personal page is Blake A. Hahn. So follow it, get excited. Now I'm starting to put out that content. I'm starting to put out what I went through, my experience, my wisdom and everything. I'm now at that point and I'm excited to give back and help you guys and educate and change the world. So join us in impacting over 1 billion lives with these education tools, because we know that not only the schools and colleges need it, but anybody and everybody needs it, whether you're in a sales business, whether you're just an employee in a company, whether you're a mom or you're a dad just wanting to become the best version of yourself. You need these tools that'll help you change your mind, it'll help you change your life, and it'll help you create the ideal life that you want. So stay tuned, follow us, and just get behind us on impacting over 1 billion lives, because this is bigger than us. It's not just about me. It's not about my business partner, and it's not about Princeton. It's about what we're going to do in this world and how we're going to impact people and change their lives. So
100%, man. I love you, bro. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to the things that we're about to build together. You know, but guys, as you can see, great things on the way. All of those links, all of his information are going to be in the show description, but stay tuned because we have more coming to you, and I have some more amazing guests coming, you know, throughout this spring. And I'm also going to be dropping some details, and stick with me. I got a little information I want to give you after this podcast ends on an upcoming event and some of our upcoming events, you know, that we're going to be hosting live. But until next time, guys, remember, you are the master of your life. Get connected to yourself. Get connected to your vision. Start utilizing tools that are going to transform your life and give you wisdom to evolve your life personally, professionally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. And remember, your life is what you make it. So start styling it in a way that's in alignment with you, that you can be proud of, but more than anything else, that you can love and leave a legacy with. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning into Mastery 360 on the Evolve Mastery podcast. We'll be talking to you soon.